That's a very significant document, lots of resources that are available for folks who are interested. Mr. Miska, I noted that you had your hand up. We'll come. Just give me just a second. I just want to make sure that I put this all procedurally in the right posture. First, we've got to have a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Hammond-Rowland, second by Commissioner Drosty. Any discussion of that or concerns? Jenny, would please take the roll.
Commissioner Drosty?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Helverson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammond-Rowland?
Yes.
Commissioner Slavitt?
Yes.
Commissioner Workman?
Yes.
That motion carries again. All that did was approve the agenda. The first item on the agenda is the actual public hearing. We're going to start that here in just a second. Are there any questions, concerns? Obviously, it's been before the board multiple times, started months ago, so I don't anticipate a lot of questions from members of the board, but any clarifications that anybody had before we get underway with the public hearing? Okay, then we'll formally open the public hearing. Mr. Mitzke, I saw your hand come up. If you could just do me a favor and just approach. There's probably not a lot of folks at home watching this, but if you just identify who you are, we've got your address already on that.
My name is Mike Michigan from Egan. I had a couple questions. One is, your budget manager sent me this slide that says the merit comp rate is 6.5%. Can you explain what that means?
Mr. Chair. So when we calculated the recommended budget, our merit comp rate is the calculation of our salary increases as well as our compensation, which would be our benefits for health insurance and our various other insurances. And we utilized the current year, the 2024 rate of 6.5%.
And the question for anyone listening at home is why? Why did you come up with that percentage?
When the unions negotiated, that is the rate that we utilized for what raises would be estimated at for 2025, based on previous union contracts as well as our non-union staff.
You could certainly, but if you would you come up to the microphone? Thank you.
My only point, I've been in the industry for a long time. I was a controller at a CPA. That rate seems extremely high. Now, I don't know what the contracts are, but I kind of surveyed some of the people I know in business, and they're seeing average comp rates of 2.5% to 3.5% next year. So this to me seems absorbently high. That's my point.
Thank you, Mr. Michigan. Paul, did you note what that rate included increases in health insurance, for example? Do you recall what the anticipated? It seems to me that it was in the neighborhood of about 7% in terms of health insurance increase for this coming year.
Mr. Chair, and it actually, the preliminary estimate was at 7%. It actually came in around 8.5%, I believe.
Thank you. That's not to minimize your point, Mr. Michigan, but there were some items that were outside of our control, one of them being an 8% increase in health insurance. Are there others? Obviously, the public hearing remains open. Is there other individuals with questions, concerns, or comments? Yeah. By the way, once you're a CPA, you're always a CPA. I think you said you were a CPA, but
I'll be honest. The reason I'm here today is my own taxes on my house when I'm from the county, 14%. It's never been that high. I've lived here 28 years now. Part of my concern is that percentage increase is quite high. If you look at the congressional, the CBO, they're expecting 2.2% next year in the United States. Our last 12 months of CPI, 2.6%. So when I see a budget that goes up 10% and 14% overall for my property, I'll be honest, that's just fiscally not responsible. That's it. That's all I'll say.
thank you, Mr. Michigan. Are there others with questions, concerns? Unless there are, and I'm looking at, by the way, I look at some folks here that are residents apparently of Dakota County. I appreciate you being here, particularly when we hold a hearing like this in Hastings, which I love the community of Hastings, but in a 587 square mile county, it can be a challenge for folks coming from Burnsville, for example. So we very much appreciate you taking the time to join us for this public hearing. Once I close the public hearing, that kind of ends the opportunity for questions and concerns. So I don't want to just close it without giving folks an opportunity to be heard if they want to be heard. Mr. Mishka, we certainly appreciate your comments. And we'll make a point, if you'd like. We've also got our folks that can take a look at your individual property tax statement. I know I got a call yesterday from an individual who was actually concerned because they saw a reduction in their property taxes, and they couldn't believe that that had possibly happened, because that never happens. As it turned out, they had seen a slight decrease in their assessed valuation because their next door neighbor and their neighbor across the street and some others around them. So there's a lot of factors that go into, in addition to just setting the levy, that come up with what ultimately translates to an individual impact on an individual property. But unless there's other questions or concerns that people have, any other questions, comments from members of the board? If not, we will then close the public hearing. I'll remind everybody that, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, sir, did you want to be heard? I saw you, come on up to the microphone if you would. I saw you stand up, but I thought you were just taking your coat off. So, thank you for joining us tonight. If you just state your name, that's all we need for the record.
My name is Vladimir Levin.